First things first, I received a review copy of this game for free from Keymailer and the devs, however I was not paid to promote it, and all opinions are my own. Okay, here we go again with something completely different, but actually very much in my wheelhouse this time. Crux is an arena-based first-person shooter with roguelite elements, developed and published by Blackout Softworks. Crux takes huge amounts of inspiration from Quake 3, and it wears that on its sleeve, that's for damn sure, but with some very welcome modernities that I pretty much require at this point, such as climbing ledges or its ash. I personally have a pretty big connection to Quake 3. I was never allowed to play first-person shooters as a kid until I finally got my dad to try playing Quake 3 on a LAN with me, and then after 4 or so hours of blowing each other up, I was suddenly allowed to play any non-realistic first-person shooter. So that was pretty huge for me. And so probably stemming from that, I'm already a huge fan of the quote-unquote boomer shooter genre, and this sits squarely in that category. When you boot up Crux, you're immediately thrust into the tutorial, wasting no time with intro cutscenes or any other nonsense. You're stuck right behind your gun, and expected to start using it very quickly. After a brief tutorial on how the game is laid out, you're sent to your, home? I assume it's your home because you have an evil hell doggy to keep you company. This will serve as a hub for unlockables and the like, although currently it's a little bit sparse on the unlockable side, hopefully we see more in future patches. And also where you'll start your runs. So the runs, are the main part of Crux. You'll blast your way through multiple arenas of a randomly selected order, each consisting of 3 to 5 waves of enemies before dropping a big ass guardian, aka boss, on you. Some of these are just giant versions of enemies, but some are original models as well. The Grim Reaper comes to mind here, and they can all be pretty tricky the first time you reach them. As for weaponry, you're only given 3 guns, each with an alt fire, and I know, that seems a little bit light, but honestly, you really don't need any more with how goddamn tight these puppies are. You've got a shotgun with a secondary fire being a grappling hook that you can use to zip around the arenas. Next up, you've got your plasma rifle, taking up the machine gun slot, and letting you use a powerful armor-piercing railgun as the secondary. And finally, we've got our rocket launcher, with remote detonation, which you'll end up needing, because it's kind of a weird little glitch where if you fire off into the distance, the rockets actually won't despawn or explode by themselves until they hit something, so you really need to be able to blow them up yourself. I'm personally partial to the plasma gun, but all of them are incredibly useful and all of them have their place. In addition to your arsenal, you're also given a perk at the beginning of each arena you enter. These all come in 4 different levels and can range from being something like gain 20% movement speed for 3 seconds after each kill, or say something like you shoot 2% faster for each missing armor point. Now these are incredibly important for finishing your runs, and that leads into the 2 reasons to keep on trekking. First up, you'll collect hearts from beating guardians or taking certain perks, and I think you also gain them from completing certain challenges too, but I'm not 100% sure on that. With these hearts, you'll be able to unlock permanent perks, and then further upgrade them from level 1 to 4. You're allowed to equip up to 4 at the start of your run, and boy howdy do you feel like a badass when you're already fully buffed in the first room and the first boss goes down in like 3 or 4 shots. Secondly, you're vying for a top spot on the leaderboard, and I know speedrunning isn't for everybody, and honestly it usually isn't for me either, but this hit just the right sweet spot for me. At time of writing, I'm currently 3rd on the leaderboard, and I'm pretty sure I can do better with some perk tuning. Now the music is rockin'. It's entirely there to blend into the background of the thousands and thousands of bullets you'll be firing, but it's still high enough energy to pump you up to blast some demons. Now the biggest standout has to be the winning run theme for me. That track just slaps. Chef's kiss. One complaint I had initially when I started up Crux was a lack of pickup sound for items. However, as I've played more, I do feel that with the amount of crap you're constantly grabbing, it may become very grating. Now that being said, I wouldn't mind having it with a toggle. I have died a couple of times because I thought I'd grabbed a health up while running backwards, but I guess I probably could have just been watching my HUD a little bit better. The visuals are very nice and kind of have the aesthetic of a PlayStation 1 game, but mixed with much more modern lighting and honestly a much higher poly count as well. But dang it, I get mad PS1/90s PC game vibes and I'm running with it here. I know I said before that Quake 3 is a huge influence, and that's present as hell in the visuals. Other games that come to mind from the era would be like Sin or Half-Life, just similar kind of vibes to that aesthetically. Not gameplay-wise. Gameplay-wise, it really is Quake 3, but with some modern touches for good measure. Now, I'm waxing lyrical here, and well, I'm very much enjoying Crux, and I definitely recommend it. I did run into quite a few bugs in my playtime. I found there were a few places that I could run up on the walls as though they were staircases, which I don't think is the intended interaction. And there was one boss in particular where if you ran to the opposite side of the arena and just jumped up on a little ledge, just completely stopped moving and basically make it shooting fish in a barrel. One other thing is I would love to see a little bit more variety added in, and on top of that too, kind of like to have a hard mode if I'm being honest with you, but with a separate leaderboard. It's one thing to just pick weaker or lower perks, or in fact no perks whatsoever, but without a separate leaderboard, I don't think it's going to be possible to be competitive without getting some really good start-off perks. That's just my 2 cents on it though. So, in closing, if you're into boomer shooters, or have fond memories of Quake 3, or you just like a very high-energy, fast-paced experience with lots of guns and demons, then I'd highly recommend picking up Crux. It's extremely solid in its mechanics, if a little lacking in polish. But guys, there's literally one dev. I mean, cut him some slack. He made a very fun and engaging love letter to one of the games that shaped what is probably the most popular genre in the world, competitive shooters. Hard recommend from me. Very, very much enjoyed Crux, and honestly, I kind of want to go back to playing it right now. And as always, thanks to everybody for watching. It really means a ton. I've really been enjoying getting back into YouTube, and believe me, every single like and sub helps a ton. Anyway, I hope you all have an awesome day. Bye!